The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so silent. Ambassador Velthara of the Kryn Dominion shifted uncomfortably in her gravitational suspension field. Her three eyes focused on the holographic display floating at the center of the vast circular room. Around her, representatives from 47 spacefaring civilizations sat in stunned disbelief. Their various forms of communication, telepathic waves, bioluminescent pulses, and traditional vocalizations, all completely stilled. On the display, the smoldering remains of the Zarathian Third Fleet drifted through the void of space like cosmic debris. 300 warships, each capable of glassing a planetary surface, had been reduced to twisted metal and frozen vapor in less than 4 Earth hours. "This cannot be accurate," High Counselor Threshold finally spoke, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's ambient light into anxious patterns. The humans were given a preliminary warning strike, standard protocol. They should have surrendered their mining rights to the Outer Rim territories and accepted their place as a protectorate species. Ambassador Marcus Chen stood at the human delegation's platform, his dark suit a stark contrast to the exotic forms surrounding him. His expression remained neutral, almost bored, as he surveyed the room. He had been Earth's representative to the Galactic Council for only 6 months, but he had learned quickly that humanity's reputation here was that of a quaint, emotional species too young to understand galactic politics. They had made a grave miscalculation. "Ambassador Chen," Velthara's voice trembled slightly, her translator rendering her clicks and whistles into perfect English. "Your species destroyed an entire battle fleet. The Zarathians sent that armada as a measured response to your refusal to vacate the contested systems. This level of violence is unprecedented for a species at your technological level." Chen smiled thinly. "Ambassador Velthara, with all due respect, the Zarathians didn't send a measured response. They sent an invasion force. They broadcasted their intentions to every colony in the Outer Rim. They were going to make an example of humanity. They were going to bombard our settlements, enslave our miners, and present our subjugation to this council as proof of their dominance." "That is the way of galactic politics," Threshold interjected, his tone carrying the weight of 10,000 years of civilization. "The strong expand, the weak accommodate. Your species should have negotiated. Instead, you have committed an act of unthinkable aggression." "Unthinkable," Chen's voice hardened. "Let me tell you what's unthinkable, High Counselor. What's unthinkable is that this council, supposedly dedicated to maintaining peace and order, sat back and allowed the Zarathians to threaten genocide against human colonies. What's unthinkable is that not one of you spoke up when they issued their ultimatum." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien protests. Chen waited patiently for the translation systems to catch up, then continued. "We didn't start this war, but we damn sure finished that battle." Velthara's middle eye narrowed. "You cannot possibly have the resources to sustain a prolonged conflict. The Zarathian Empire has 12 worlds, 40 billion citizens, and military reserves that—" Had Chen interrupted. "They had military reserves." The holographic display shifted, and a new image appeared. The Zarathian homeworld hung in space, its orbital shipyards, once the pride of their empire, now nothing but expanding clouds of plasma and debris. Velthara gasped, a sound that translated across species as pure shock. "What have you done?" she whispered. "What we promised we would do if they attacked our people," Chen replied calmly. 48 hours ago, the Zarathian Third Fleet entered the Kepler 442 system and opened fire on our colony there. They killed 17,000 civilians in the initial bombardment. They broadcast footage of the attack, calling humans vermin that needed to be exterminated. Chen's jaw tightened, the first crack in his professional demeanor. "They thought we would beg for mercy. They thought we would come crawling to this council, pleading for intervention. They were wrong." "You've destroyed their military infrastructure," Threshold said slowly, his crystalline form pulsing with what might have been fear. Their fleets, their shipyards, their defense platforms, in less than 2 standard days. Correct, Chen confirmed. And we've done it without deploying even 30% of our available assets. The Zarathians wanted to make an example of humanity. Instead, they've become a cautionary tale. Ambassador Quirix of the Harmony Collective, a jellyfish-like being that rarely spoke in council sessions, suddenly pulsed with urgent bioluminescence. Through the translator, its message came across as deeply disturbed. Human Chen, your species has only been in space for 200 of your years. We have observed your technological development. You should not possess weapons capable of this destruction. The mathematics of your advancement do not align with any known model. Chen's smile returned, colder this time. That's because you've been observing the wrong things, Ambassador Quirix. You've been watching our civilian sector, our trade ships, our mining operations, our diplomatic vessels. That's what we wanted you to see. He gestured to the holographic display, and it shifted again. This time, it showed a sleek vessel emerging from Earth's moon. Then another, and another. Hundreds of warships, each bristling with weapons systems that made the Zarathian fleet look like antiques, poured out from camouflaged lunar bases. Humanity learned something from our own history, Chen explained. We learned that peace is a beautiful ideal, but survival requires preparation. While we were sending our merchants and diplomats to your worlds, we were also building, researching, testing. We took every scrap of technology we could learn from the galactic community and improved upon it. We didn't ask for permission, we just did it. This is madness, Velthara protested. You violated a dozen non-proliferation treaties. The Council specifically limits military development for younger species. Treaties we never signed, Chen countered. Limitations we never agreed to. You assumed because we were new to the galactic stage that we would play by your rules. You assumed that because we hadn't shown aggression, we lacked the capacity for it. Threschmal's crystalline form darkened. This council maintains order across thousands of worlds. If every species acted with such paranoid militarism, then maybe predatory empires like the Zarathians wouldn't feel emboldened to commit genocide, Chen snapped. You want to talk about order, High Counselor? Let's discuss the 17 other species that have been absorbed by larger empires in the last century. Let's talk about how this council issues stern statements and formal complaints while entire civilizations disappear. The chamber fell silent again. It was an uncomfortable truth that none of the elder species wanted to acknowledge. So what happens now? Velthara asked quietly. Will Earth rampage across the galaxy, destroying anyone who opposes you? Chen's expression softened slightly. No, Ambassador, that's not who we are. We don't want an empire. We don't want to dominate anyone. We just want what every species wants, the right to exist without fear of annihilation. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, or optical sensors, or consciousness fields of each representative. Here's what's going to happen. The Zarathian Empire will agree to a peace treaty. They will pay reparations for the lives they took. They will publicly acknowledge their war crimes. And this council will guarantee that no further aggression against human colonies will be tolerated. And if we refuse, Threschmal challenged, though his voice lacked conviction. Then you'll learn what the Zarathians learned, Chen replied simply. That humanity didn't crawl out of our gravity well and cross the stars just to become someone else's victims. We've spent our entire history fighting, against nature, against each other, against extinction itself. We learned to survive. We learned to adapt. And we learned that sometimes the only way to achieve peace is to be so formidable that war becomes unthinkable. He paused, then added, We don't want to fight you, any of you, but we will if we must, and we will win. The holographic display shifted one final time, showing live feeds from Earth's defensive perimeter. Thousands of warships, orbital weapons platforms, and deep space installations formed a defensive sphere around humanity's home system. It was a show of force that exceeded the combined military might of half the council's members. "The age of easy prey is over," Chen declared. "Humanity is claiming its place among the stars, not as conquerors but as equals, and anyone who tries to push us back down will learn exactly what it means to wake a sleeping giant." Velthara looked at the display, then back at Chen. For the first time since humanity had joined the galactic community, she saw them not as young, emotional primitives, but as something far more dangerous, survivors who had turned their capacity for violence into an art form, held in check only by choice, not capability. "The Council will take your proposal under advisement," she said finally, her voice hollow. Chen nodded. "You do that. Earth expects a response within 72 hours. Until then, our fleets will remain on high alert." As he left the chamber, the assembled representatives sat in shocked silence, each grappling with the same realization. The balance of galactic power had shifted in a single, brutal demonstration. The humans hadn't just defended themselves, they had rewritten the rules. And in the cold calculus of interstellar politics, respect through strength was worth more than 1,000 diplomatic overtures. The Galactic Council had learned an ancient human truth: some species you can negotiate with, others you simply don't cross. Humanity had just shown the galaxy which category they belonged to.